30 years of joyfulness. Hello, good evening, and welcome to News Night.
Well, the bulletin is live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, and on over 30 affiliates across the country. Tonight, Bank of Ghana new Forex rules aimed at strengthening anti-money laundering spark business and industry backlash with concerns over impact on the economy.
It is only proper and important that all steps and efforts are taken to make it very simple and easy for us. So most of these regulations can be nuisance sometimes and can be frustrating.
We'll speak to the business community about their concerns.
Also, a recent probe into the alleged assault of a nurse at Ridge Hospital has found that the victim did not suffer any fractures or shoulder dislocations. Contrary to initial report, we have some details of the report submitted to the minister today. Also coming up, local economy in Sawla-Tuna-Kalba collapses following bloody land dispute that has left 9 dead and many others injured as government moves in to impose a curfew on the township and its environs. Details soon.
In business,
Bank of Ghana asked to crack the whip on institutions flouting the foreign exchange rules by quoting prices in dollars and not just issue directives. We'll hear from finance lecturer Dr. Benjamin Amoa.
And in sports,
Ghana Football Association explains Fatah Isahaku's absence from Ghana's squad for September World Cup qualifiers.
And a bit later, prominent MPP flagbearer Kennedy Agyapong is rallying party delegates and members with a compelling message that he is the only candidate who can lead the MPP to victory in 2028 after submitting his nomination forms at the party's headquarters.
I always say that any human being without a job has no life. Do you want life? Do you want life? Then vote for Kennedy Agyapong for us.
We've got the latest of these and many other stories coming up in the next 60 minutes. My name is Kenneth Jesse.
My name is Pelo Furi.
You can join the conversation on our WhatsApp platform. It's 055 11 11 997. We'll be back with details after this.
You're welcome back. Tonight, the Bank of Ghana's latest move to tighten foreign exchange regulations has sparked controversy, with some members of the Association of Ghana Industries crying foul over what they perceive as excessive oversight. The central bank's new guidelines require travelers to declare foreign currency exceeding $10,000 upon entry or exit, aiming to bolster the country's anti-money laundering framework.
Failure to comply with the requirement, the bank warns will attract sanctions, including fines and possible prosecution in line with the Anti-Money Laundering Act. Elton Brobe has more.
Well, the prohibited transactions include, but not limited to, school fees. Those who are pricing in dollars, they are refrained from doing so going for it from today. Sale and rental of vehicles, sale and rental of real estate, airline ticket, domestic contract, retail shopping, online sales, hotel accommodation. The statement clarified that foreign currency invoices may only be issued to expatriates, that's foreign nationals, or non-residents, with proceeds required to be paid into the foreign exchange account with a licensed bank. In addition, exchange rates opted or quoted on such invoices must reflect prevailing market rate of commercial banks and be benchmarked against the Bank of Ghana's published reference rate rather than being arbitrarily determined. And the bank has also issued a statement regarding new directives on how much you can have on you when you're traveling. The bank says that travelers are permitted to carry up to $10,000 or its equivalent in any other foreign currency and monetary instrument without declaration. Now, travelers traveling carrying more than $10,000 must declare such funds in full using the official foreign currency declaration form from the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, indicating the source and purpose of the funds. Inbound travelers carrying amount above $10,000 must also present proof of declaration. Outbound travelers with more than $50,000 in any other foreign currency and monetary instrument must also declare the funds on Form FX5. In addition, attach the following required documents: endorse foreign exchange bureau's receipt, endorse bank slip evidence of withdrawal and purchase of foreign currency. Now, failure to do this can lead to fine or prosecution, and then also the seizure of the amount beyond the $10,000.
You had Elton Brobe with those directives from the central bank. Now, the Association of Ghana Industry argues that the regulations are overly restrictive and may impede business operations, particularly for legitimate transactions. Greater Accra Regional Chairman Chonam Akpelo says some of the regulations will end up driving businesses away from local banking channels when transacting in foreign exchange.
And I'm saying that there are many of all of these regulations, and especially these days, if you go to the bank, you ask that I have let's say, a supplier in China, I would like the bank to transfer money to the supplier. What you typically get is a lot of frustration. Your own money, they say, well, you have to produce this document. You produce all the documents, but they are still asking for more documents. And finally, you even now find out that they actually don't probably even have the forex to transfer, which is a classic case in one of the instances I had to deal with last month. So what I'm saying is that there are a lot of all of these challenges that the business community is facing. Our desire is for the regulator to actually be active in finding out some of these nuances so that they can deal with them, because these challenges are really, really frustrating. We are not against them doing their work by regulating, and we are familiar with some of these standards and cash movements and so on, and we will comply. We're just saying that in all of these, they should ensure that the business community is at heart, because what is the point if you overly regulate and everybody now decide to trade in cash, which is what has been the case. Ghana is noted to be a heavy cash transaction country. To grow to a developed country, you cannot be focusing on cash. You have to minimize cash. And the only way to do that is when you promote banking and encourage a lot more people to use the banking system and the digital banking arena. That way a lot of people can bank. But if I know that I send my money to the bank and they will say they will not accept my money because I have to produce several forms and documents and all of that, a lot of these business people don't have the time.
And you find this excessive?
Very excessive. So our wish is that the central bank should actually sit up to investigate some of these things and put themselves in our shoes and see how it feels like.
Well, let's get more from this and go into the telephone lines and speak to Chonam Akpelo, who's the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Shouldn't we be backing the Bank of Ghana to enhance the country's anti-money laundering measures?
Yes, good evening. Good evening to cherished listeners. Yes, we should definitely support the central bank and any other regulator in doing their work.
So why then are you opposed to this?
No, we are not opposed, not at all. On the contrary, we are fully supportive of all measures to protect the sanctity of our forex market and so on. Our view is very simple, that we want central bank to allow for a free flow of transactions. We want to be sure that the regulator is rather facilitating business for legitimate companies that are doing business in Ghana. The frustrations that most of our business have to deal with on a daily basis, trying to move money to legitimate suppliers outside the country, trying to deal with forex and so on. It's a situation of they realizing that we are facing it and then they deal with it. The situation where it's almost as though every now and then there are new regulations, new set of regulations and so on. It's becoming unbecoming. Our wish is that while we support all efforts to streamline the banking system, we really have to take steps to ensure that they are making life very simple for us. You try now, go to the bank, a business bank, and send deposit your own forex in your forex account. You ask you for several documents, source of money, and all of that. But the truth is that you are in a very heavy cash economy. And so what we are trying to do is to encourage a lot more people to go to the bank and put their money in the bank. There has to be a deliberate policy to promote that. But you cannot have policies that rather frustrate people bringing their money to the bank. And also the fact that they are trying to minimize forex transactions in Ghana is welcome. It's a welcome idea. However, about 70% of all the things we use in the country are imported. And if you are importing raw materials to use in your factory, you need a forex to be able to buy these raw materials. And you certainly need a regulatory environment that allows for a free flow of forex, at least for legitimate people, so that it's easier for them to produce. You see, so really these are some of our concerns that we hope that the central bank will take on as we embark on their regulatory journey.
These are genuine concerns, as you've mentioned. But what if the central bank does not consider any of these concerns? What then happens? Is it going to hurt your business?
Certainly, yes. Look, last month, one of my colleagues who had to pay a supply in Korea about 300,000 US, it's taking him. He told me it's taking him about 2 months to just do that. By the time he was ready, the supply has increased the price of the raw material we are going to import. All because of banking frustration, one rule or the other. Bring this paper, do this, all of that. You know, you really don't want to frustrate your business people in the name of frustration, in the name of regulation. You know, and this is not to say that we are against regulation or so on. We are fully compliant. I mean, most of our members are some of the best in terms of compliance and making sure that we do the right thing. But our concern is to streamline the environment and ensure that we allow a lot more people to come to the bank and be happy to go do business and go home. Really, this is our call.
Okay.
And you know that there are lots of cash that are outside the banking system. There are a lot of dollars that go through cash. How are you putting in measures to ensure that these cash are back to the banking system? They have to take steps to ensure that a lot of people are encouraged to bring dollars in their homes to the bank. You know, and this is what we're asking for.
Okay, these are genuine concerns that I'm sure the Bank of Ghana will consider. Chonam Akpelo is the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries. But we have more, Pearl.
Well, Kenneth, we have Dr. Patrick Ofori. He's the CEO of the BoG Oil Distributors. He's joined us via telephone. Good evening and thank you for your time on Newsnight.
Good evening to you and good evening to your listeners.
Mr. Ofori, AGI says is not entirely opposed to the new directives by the central bank. Is that the same for you?
We also don't oppose it, but we said that if these policies or the regulatory measures are going to be enforced to the latter to ensure that there is forex availability for our imports and for us to conduct business in a genuine and in a friendly and a straight regulatory environment that doesn't create a situation whereby there are lapses for others to exploit it. Now, going to their press release, it is direct, and not only that, we also appreciate their engagement that they've done with us over the past month. So we've come through a process, and we're hoping that these measures will ensure that we have a stable currency, and most importantly, forex availability for legitimate businesses like ours.
From what you said, do you foresee supply chain disruptions or price hikes as a result of these new regulations?
Not at all. You look at the measures that is putting in place. So assuming I'm an entity, and now I know that I'm booking a hotel for my conference or any activity, and their prices is cedis. I will just pay the cedis. And then also the part that they stipulate at Bank of Ghana's approved rate, so that I will not receive an invoice for a school fees and then the school is demanding an exchange rate of 30, when Bank of Ghana rate is 10.5 or 10.35. I also don't expect that I'm going to pay my regulatory charges with any of the state entities. And then a state entity is charging me an exchange rate that is not applicable or friendly to us, where Bank of Ghana is quoting less 11, and another state entity wants you to pay a rate that is about 2 or so series more than the Bank of Ghana rate. So I think
time.
Well, Pearl, let's talk about health tonight because a committee is set up by the Minister of Health to investigate the assault on Rejoice Chocho Bote, a nurse at the Ridge Hospital, has found no medical evidence to support claims of a shoulder dislocation. Well, the committee, led by Dr. Lawrence Ofori-Buadu, presented its report to the Health Minister, Kwabena Minta-Kando, on August 27th, 2025.
Well, the committee's investigation revealed no signs of a fracture on Bote's left wrist or a dislocation on her right shoulder joint, contradicting initial claims. The alleged victim reported her injuries a day after the assault on August 18, which may have implications for the investigation. JoyNews has intercepted excerpts of the report, and my colleague James Aveji joins me with more on this. James, what more does the report say?
Well, Pearl, so from the document we have seen so far, as you earlier mentioned, the 6-member committee was chaired by Dr. Lawrence Ofori-Buadu, and these 6 members were pulled from both the Ghana Health Service as well as the Ministry of Health to look at this incident. And they had 4 key terms of reference. One is to unravel the circumstances that led to the alleged delay in providing health care to the patient brought under emergency. 2, the events and factors that escalated into an alleged assault on a health professional, and then the state of security at the hospital at the time of the incident, and the number of nurses and doctors who were on duty at the time of the incident. The committee was expected to submit this report on 27, which they have done. And if you look at how this report was generated, in fact, it's indicated that between 20th and 21st of August, the committee members engaged at least 10 persons at the Ridge Hospital, including doctors, nurses, and other people related to this. And now, these are some of the findings into the issue, that there was no delay in attending to the patient with suspected head injury, who was the reason behind the agitation by Mr. Ralph Williams and the motor riders that he had been abandoned. However, it was found that all the diagnostics imaging equipment, X-ray, CT scan, MRI at the emergency department were faulty and non-functioning. Thus, all images requested at the emergency department ought to be done outside of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, and this has been a contributing factor to delay in disposition from or initiation of definite care. Now, the report goes on to say that although there is video evidence, and this is based on the factors, the second key terms of reference on what led to the escalation of this. They said that although there is video evidence of a verbal or word altercation between Ralph, his colleagues, and staff members of the hospital, we are yet to receive any video evidence or a witness account of the alleged physical altercation or attack. There is, however, documentation in the hospital health information management system that the alleged victim, Mrs. Rejoice Chocho Bote, reported her injuries on the left hand on the next day, 18th August 2025, and was further treated. There was no evidence of fracture to her left wrist or dislocation to her right shoulder joint, as documented in her medical records. She was treated with pain relief bed rest recommended to her as well. Now, the committee finds that the security at the emergency department was grossly inadequate at the time of the incident. The hospital security of one private security personnel per 12-hour shift at the emergency department is inadequate considering the volume of human traffic at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital emergency. Okay. Then it went on to do some findings / recommendations as far as this is concerned. They said that the staff, which is Rejoice, who was allegedly physically attacked, was receiving treatment at the hospital. It goes on to say that the committee, as part of the investigations, invited Ralph St. Williams on Thursday, 22nd of August, who agreed to have a hearing on a phone with his lawyer, Oliver Bakavomao, but later declined to the interview on phone and resorted to submitting a written report with video exhibit as evidence to the committee, and the report was received with video evidence as promised. His statement, a copy attached to the report, spelled out the following: that his distress or frustration was escalated by a nurse who made provocative remarks in the context of emergency, and this triggered his response, and goes on and on and on. And so, in short, the committee says the allegations, yes, the nurse reported, but their finding indicated that there was no fracture to the wrist or dislocation to the arm, as has been alleged earlier.
Okay, James Obeje, thank you very much for that statement.
That's quite an interesting development there. Let's go onto the telephone lines and speak to the Deputy Director and Spokesperson at the Ministry of Health, Tony Goodman. Thank you, Mr. Goodman. How do you respond to this? Let me pick your initial reaction to this.
Fulfilling, unless it brings matters to a halt and also provides a clarity on what happened last Sunday.
Well, there's already been a suit that has been filed by the nurse. Do you think that any action at all should be taken against the nurse?
No, for us in the ministry, we believe this should help strengthen us and improve our service. That is the minister's focus. We don't intend pursuing this further, but just to halt some of these things from happening in the hospital. The legal aspect, we are all entitled to it. We can pursue legal means or any other means. So that is for us.
So there clearly were systemic, inadequacies at the hospital, security fractures and all that. Have they been addressed since this issue happened?
We have actually improved upon service, what we call security there since this happened. Without the medical director to increase the number of security personnel they put there. We've actually spoken with the regional commander. They've provided regional patrol team, and then will-be patrol team who normally come periodically to check what is happening there. The other police posts around the entrance, they've also increased the personnel. They normally walk to that area. So when it comes to security, something has been done.
Yes, and Mr. Goodman, that Ridge Hospital is not a peculiar case. It's not an exclusive case. These cases happen across the country. There was also the issue about shortage of staff as well. Have they also been addressed?
We actually recommended to the Honorable Minister to actually replicate whatever the recommendation for Ridge is across the country. So obviously this is going to inform policy direction. The minister is going to make some, is going to direct all the various youth, the Director General of Ghana Health Service, the Director General of TAG to also do something. So going forward, you're going to see some changes, various hospitals.
But have you started seeing those changes, or you've been told that they are in the pipeline?
No, we have not started. The committee submitted the report this afternoon. The minister told the media that he wants them to be part of the implementation of this report. They should be following up to check what has been done regarding this. He's asked the chief director to quickly start looking at this report from tomorrow. So very soon we're going to see a lot of action on this particular document. That is actually the purpose for doing this work.
Tony Goodman is the Deputy Director and Spokesperson at the Ministry of Health. Thank you very much. Pearl?
On in other news, the need for effective monitoring and data collection came up prominently in a dialogue on cocoa production and distribution at the JoyNews Climate Talk series on the theme Green Cocoa Processing, Energy Efficiency and Waste Management. Discussion centered on sustainable farming techniques, technological innovations and collaboration with stakeholders for policy changes. Hannah Odame has more in this report.
According to the acting director of the Ghana National Cleanup Production Center, Letitia Abrakom Nyaba, the lack of data in the field affects effective monitoring, thereby preventing the cocoa farmers from getting the needed assistance they require to boost production.
Some of the problems I have encountered is the availability of data for you to make any decision on being efficient in your resource use. Now, even when the data is there, undertakings are not prepared to part with the data for you to do the analysis that will provide them with the support and the solutions they so much need. So if you provide wrong data, it means that you are going to get a wrong solution.
Managing Director of chocolate producer Fair Freak, Michael Malmon-Helm, however, explained how his company has been able to shift from carbon emissions in their productions in excess of 200,000 kilograms. He urged other producers to consider adopting the measures they employed.
Even in 2025, year to date, the total amount of solar energy our panels have generated, even considering this state of weather, has been more than about 187,000 kilowatts. Now, this augments more than 30% to 45% of what we would regularly have had from the grid. Now, if you compare it to how much carbon emission we have saved, this is in excess of 200,000 kilograms of carbon dioxide that we have saved the environment. So, is it sustainable? Yes, to a large extent.
On his part, the acting deputy director of Cocoa Board for Monitoring and Evaluation, Dixon Ameno, highlighted the need for producers to inculcate climate-smart cocoa production methods and also train farmers on effective climate change standards so they can meet international standards and also avoid deforestation due to constant movement for new farmlands.
These climate-smart cocoa practices involve agroforestry where shade trees are being grown on the farms. Cocoa thrives in mostly the forests, so we have to go hand in hand. In doing this too, we collaborated with the Forestry Commission to involve ourselves in some of the emission reduction programs. We have to meet the global demands. We involved ourselves in training farmers and then training some of our stakeholders to be able to meet these global demands.
And that's Hannah Odame's report, and that brings us to business and Pius. Kojo Baka is here with the latest. Pius, what do you have?
Bank of Ghana asked to crack the whip now on institutions flouting the foreign exchange rules, quoting prices in dollars and not just issue directives. We'll hear from a finance lecturer, Dr. Benjamin Amwa. Also coming up in business, Salam Alliance Partners Multimedia Group Limited to deepen financial inclusion in the insurance sector. The business news on News 9 is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business, Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essential. Hello, welcome back to News Night. Time now for business. Senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa, has asked the Bank of Ghana to act swiftly to end the practices of businesses quoting prices in dollars. Even though he admits enforcing the Bank of Ghana directives on quoting in dollars will require a lot of work, Dr. Amwa said the central bank must be seen to be acting by certain examples. He made the statement after the Bank of Ghana warned the public against unauthorized forex transactions.
It will be difficult. It will be difficult because until the the central bank gets the hint of it, he will not know, right? He will not know. So it becomes a bit difficult because, again, what happens between the banks and the Forex Bureau is such a deep valley that so many things can happen from the banks through to the Forex Bureau. Not deliberate, but then there may be some loopholes that can be exploited. Now, if I am buying or I'm selling in dollars and you don't get a hint of it at central bank, how will you change? How will you follow me? How will you deal with that particular act? So the central bank is coming out, which is good, but then they will have to look at it and make sure that the system that they put in place can pick on the needed, flashpoint and to deal with the issue.
Senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa there. Now, the second deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, Matilda Santiesiedu, is urging corporate organizations to prioritize inclusivity and promote gender balance in the operations. She says creating equitable opportunities for women in leadership and decision-making roles is not only a social responsibility but a driver of sustainable growth. She was speaking at the 11th Women in HR conference organized by the Ghana Employers Association.
Means that women need opportunities to rise, because when women rise, entire households rise, entire communities rise, and economies become more resilient. The truth is quite simple. When women thrive, economies thrive. When women are allowed to lead not just in HR, but in culture, strategy, and innovation, the impact multiplies for everyone. And for the men here, imagine if your wife, your sister, your auntie, your mother, who would have been taken from your purse, also had the capacity to earn as much. Can you imagine how much free money you would have? But also how much better your lives will be as a family, as a community, and as a country.
Matilda Santiesiedu is the second deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana. Now, the chief director of the Ministry of Finance, Patrick Numo, has underscored the importance of data in supporting the efficiency and independence of Ghana's fiscal council. He stressed that access to accurate and timely information would be critical for the council to effectively carry out its oversight functions. Mr. Numo made the remarks at a Fiscal Council Roundtable organized by Imani Ghana in collaboration with the International Institute for Sustainable Development.
For a fiscal council to be able to advise government and parliament concerning their work, they need to have up-to-date data. Somebody made a point about real-time data, so that the advice they give will be relevant for decisions and also for review of what has happened and for corrective actions to be taken. So data is very, very important. In our current age, AI is generating a lot of information. And if you don't generate own data, government's own data, then people will be compelled to go to other sources and get something and then bandage them around as if they are government sources.
Patrick Nomo is the chief director at the Ministry of Finance. Now, as part of measures to deepen financial literacy in Ghana, Salam Alliance has partnered the Multimedia Group Limited to educate more people and advance insurance and financial literacy. The partnership will help spread the benefits of insurance to individuals and businesses, as well as help address challenges facing the sector. Here is the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of Salam Alliance Life Insurance Ghana, Tewia Ben Ahmed, speaking ahead of its financial education campaign scheduled to take place tomorrow.
Then that tomorrow we are launching an initiative called Financial Education, and this is sponsored by Salam Alliance Group. And this is not a financial education for customers of Salam Alliance. No, this is a financial education for the entire Ghana market, because we believe that the insurance market and its rather low penetration can only grow if the Ghana market have a better understanding of finance and insurance. And so this is an initiative that Salam Alliance Group has sponsored, and we are launching it tomorrow. The venue is supposed to be Ghana Shippers Authority. And thankfully, we are collaborating with Multimedia Group to enable this financial education. And we have extended invitation to the industry stakeholders. The National Insurance Commission, the Commission of Insurance has confirmed coming. We are grateful to her for the support.
Chief Executive Officer of Managing Director of Salam Alliance Life Insurance Ghana, Tewia Ben Ahmed there. And we know the Multimedia Group Limited team was made up of the Head of Sales and Marketing, David Max Fuga, producer of the Super Morning Show on Joy FM, Samuel Odame, Head of Business, Winston Amwa, and host of the Super Morning Show, Kojo Yangsen. Now, the German Development Corporation, GIZ, has convened a national roundtable in Accra to engage the private sector on strengthening technical and vocational education and training in Ghana. The meeting aimed to establish partnerships that would prepare skilled manpower for the job market. Now, Acting Director General of the Ghana TVET Service, Dr. Eric Kofi Ajori, commended the initiative, describing it as a crucial step in driving a government policy on TVET.
For TVET to be successful in Ghana, the private sector must lead the discussion, must own the TVET space, because that is where the sector is. And that is only time they prepare their skilled manpower for the industry. Therefore, the stronger the bond, the better the TVET delivery for Ghana. So I will wish to call upon industry to take government policy on TVET very seriously. They must participate effectively in implementing the policy around TVET for the betterment of this country.
And that's it for business on Newsnight. Sports is next.
Let's go straight into our stories. And the Ghana Football Association has offered an explanation for forward Abdul Fattah Isahaku's absence from the Ghana squad to face Chad and Mali in next month's FIFA World Cup qualifiers. The former under-20 star recently returned from an anterior cruciate ligament injury, which kept him out for close to 7 months. According to the FA, Black Stars head coach Otuado chose to leave out the 21-year-old so as not to risk him on the artificial turf in Chad. Ghana currently sits top of Group I, 3 points behind second place Comoros. To some athletics news, and the captain of Ghana's relay team, Joseph Paul Amoah, believes the current team is the best the country has had on paper. The team is currently in camp in Texas ahead of next month's World Championships.
Looking at the team that won silver in Paris, on paper, like, leg for leg, comparing that team to our team right now, on paper, I think we have a better team than that team. But at the same time, I don't think relay is, even though there's speed involved, is the baton that is traveling.
Exactly.
So France won at Olympics with 10-3 people and all that stuff. So even though there's speed involved, I feel like with relay, it's all about execution. Hoping that everybody does, they are part of the job.
Yeah. You had captain of Ghana's relay team, Joseph Paul Amoah. Bring that into sports. Back to you guys.
Well, thank you very much, Daniel. Let's do some politics tonight, because the MPP flag-bearer hopeful Kennedy Agyapong has told party delegates and members he's the only candidate that can return the party back to power in 2028 if he's elected as its presidential candidate. Speaking after submitting his nomination forms at the party's headquarters, the former Asin Central MP said his track record as a successful businessman will guide him to create more jobs for Ghana's unemployed youth.
We want somebody who can create businesses for the youth of this country. I always say that any human being without a job has no life. Do you want life? Do you want life? Then vote for Kennedy Agyapong for life.
He charged supporters to resist any form of intimidation from some members of the party who suppressed their support for him in the party's last presidential primaries.
All I'm saying is, I am pleading with you to vote for Kennedy Agyapong, because in the bus, chop bus, truck from wherever you go, market, Ghanaians are crying for Kennedy Agyapong to lead this country. So don't listen to anybody who will come and intimidate you because of his own selfishness. without intimidation, and make sure we select a winnable candidate that can win 2028 election for the party.
Well, Brian Agyapong was the next to submit his nomination forms. The former Greek minister also pledged to create jobs if he's elected flag bearer of the MPP and becomes president. He urged his supporters to desist from comments that smear individuals and ultimately affects the fortunes of the party.
Thus, my supporters, north to south, east to west, must shy away from comments and commentary that smears individuals and ultimately affects the fortunes of our party. I come to unite, I come to build, I come to lead with conviction, and I come to win power for NPP. Let me take the opportunity to thank all those who have come here to support me. I am aware that some people have driven for 20 hours from Tumu to Wa and from Wa to Accra. I thank you. I thank those who came from the northeast and also those who came from the eastern region. I thank my team from Teshi and Krowo. I thank the team from Cape Coast. I thank everybody that came from all the 16 regions. I see the bus. I thank you all. I also want to thank the party and my church.
The local economy in Sawla-Tuna-Kalba has been severely impacted by a violent land dispute that has left 9 people dead and many others injured. The clashes have forced residents to flee their homes, and transport operators are lamenting lowest sales ever due to the unrest. In response to the situation, government has imposed a curfew on the Sawla-Tuna-Kalba district and its environs, effective 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. until further notice.
The directive also prohibits carrying firearms, ammunition, or any offensive weapons, with offenders facing arrest and prosecution. Additionally, the directive bans 2 or more persons from riding on motorbikes at any time and forbids the wearing of war regalia throughout the day. Let's get more on this and speak to Dr. Victor Ayimdeke, who is a security lecturer at Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. Grateful for your time, Dr. Doke. Is it a step in the right direction for the imposition of this curfew on the Sawla-Tuna-Kalba district, looking at the situation at the moment? We have unfortunately lost Dr. Victor Doke there, who is a security lecturer at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. We want to get him to clarify some issues for us. But you're still listening to News 9 here on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, also on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, on over 30 affiliates across the country. Share your thoughts with us on the conversations that we've been sharing with you so far. We've spoken about the two of the leading contenders of the new Patriotic Party flag bearer position, Brian Agyapong, Kwabena Kennedy Agyapong, submitting their nomination forms today. But let's go back to our earlier story on the position of curfew, a 6 to 6 curfew on Sawla-Tuna-Kalba, and speak to security lecturer at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Dr. Victor Doke. Dr. Doke, thank you for your time. I want to believe I have you this time. Is it a right direction for the imposition of curfew at this particular moment, looking at the current situation?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think curfews are one of the ways that the state can employ or use to curb clashes. It is under the direct prevention approaches. Now, in this case, to identify the main actors in the conflict and do a proper conflict analysis or stakeholder analysis, you need to stop the fighting. You need to separate the two sides. Curfews are one of the ways, but it's not the end itself. So after curfews, what else needs to be done? That is the most important thing. Most of the times we see or hear that curfews are one of the mediums. It is applied or implemented against imminent, immediate threats such as these. But the problem now is we have too many conflicts over resources, conflict over chieftaincy. It is getting too much. And it's like we are not having a roadmap
in tackling all these conflicts. Because you can talk about the Nkwanta South, where now there's a ban on festivals, the issue about the ethnic groups there fighting over territory and who was the rightful owner to perform the Yam Festival rights. It's all getting out of hand. So curfews are okay as at this point, but beyond the curfews, we need to engage.
Right. So, as you've mentioned, beyond the curfew, we need to engage. So, what should the engagement be about? What should authorities do to ensure there is peace?
Number one, they need to conduct a very thorough analysis of the conflict. We are talking about the history, the root causes of the conflict, the proximate causes, and then what even triggers, like what we've had just a few hours. What triggered the latest clash? What exactly is it about? Is it about boundaries? It is about territories? Then you now have mediators or negotiators on the ground to engage the sides. Okay? They will have to propose solutions themselves that they agree for you, the mediator or negotiator, to just facilitate. You need peace building activities, sensitization, and whatnot. You need a political will. You need resources. So all these comes to play. And it's not just one aspect being curfew and then announcing that has been curfews. Anybody found with weapons will be arrested and all of that. We need to move beyond that rhetoric and then engage. There are too many conflicts unresolved, which can harm us if we are not able to control it.
Curfews, this is not the first time we're hearing of an imposition of curfew on a town or a district in Ghana. What cue should authorities take from the previous imposition of curfews in places like, say, Boko, in relation to the latest one they've imposed on Sawla-Tuna-Kalba?
Right. So ideally, it is to enable the state through the security agencies and stakeholders to now have plan or roadmap to engage the two sides. In the areas where we've had curfews and yet still experience pockets of violence, the issue now stems from the proliferation of small arms and light weapons. The teeming youths who do not have anything to do, i.e. employment, engagement, and whatnot. All these things come to play. Now, the fact that you impose curfews does not guarantee that you are not going to have challenges or clashes. We've seen that in Boko and elsewhere. So that is why we need a sustained engagement. Conflict over tradition, culture, land, chieftaincy are very much prolonged, and oftentimes the actors take stance that they do not want to relinquish immediately. So you need to engage them continuously. We have institutions such as the National Peace Council, the National House of Chiefs. How can we use these institutions like we've done before? Okay, the NPC was established with regards to conflict resolution. How are they going to be resourced now to go far out there to engage? Civil society organizations is also important. Have we identified any of them in those areas that we can use as peace-building facilitators? All of this will come to play. Now, you talk about the National House of Chiefs, the Regional House of Chiefs. How do we identify, chiefs in that enclave and build their capacity so that we can now appoint them in zones, map out every conflict that we have, assign these chiefs the opportunity and the duty to now negotiate and mediate.
Okay. All right, Dr. Victor Doke, thank you very much. He's a security lecturer at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. Pearl, there are a few messages that our listeners have sent in.
And we have one message from Nana Akwamwa Boateng from Ablikuma Central, and he says, I will continue to urge the IGP and his men to be professional in the discharge of their duties, especially in the run-up to the Akwatia by-election. They shouldn't let the dastardly acts perpetuated by the NDC at Ablikuma North rerun on leading figures of the NPP resurface.
And that's it for News 9 tonight. My name is Kenneth Jesse.
My name is Pelo Furi.
Have a good evening.